burgundies and cobalts, wools and acrylics, lightweights and double knits, from the shelves, tumbled to the grocery bags she'd just set on the counter, and then bounced to the linoleum tile floor below. Almost as an afterthought, a tidy pile of plush plum cashmere dropped noiselessly through the air, just missing her head, and landed directly into the small stainless sink. "This isn't a kitchen," cried Dakota, reaching out her arms as widely as was possible in her heavyweight white winter coat, trying to hug yarn and food and prevent all of it from rolling off the edge. "It's a storage facility." She hesitated. What she'd wanted was simply to find a bowl, something in which to pile up the apples she'd purchased, and she'd approached Perry's compact galley kitchen in the apartment above the Walker and Daughter yarn shop as if on automatic pilot. Distractedly running through a to-do list in her mind, Dakota lapsed into an old pattern and went directly to where her mother stored the dishes once upon a memory, back when the two Walkers lived in this same walk-up. And what did she find? Knitting needles of all sizes and woods stacked in the flatware drawer, and oodles of yarn where the dishes ought to be, raining down from the cupboards. She wasn't sure she ought to risk a peek in the oven now that Perry lived here. It had been a long time since she'd cooked in this location, making oatmeal, orange and blueberry muffins for her mother's friends, the founding members of the Friday Night Knitting Club. 7 years, marveled Dakota, her voice quiet, though no one else was around. 7 years since she'd puttered around this kitchen after homework, smashing soft butter and sugar together as she contemplated what tidbits would go inside the week's cookies. "Careful now," murmured Georgia, the shop ledger in front of her on the cramped kitchen table. "Maybe don't put in everything that's on the shelf. We went through 2 bags of coconut last week." Those muffins were my best ever, Mom," said Dakota, prancing around in a victory dance on the worn linoleum. "The supreme moistness I've been searching for. You can't stand in the way of a chef." "As long as this chef remembers that we're on a budget," Georgia said mildly, brushing away some bits of eraser from the page before her. "I think I created a monster the afternoon I taught you how to measure flour." "Okay, Mom," said Dakota, sliding into a chair at the table. "Should I not make so much?" Georgia's eyes crinkled as she regarded her lively daughter, whose ponytailed hair was falling loose from the neon pink scrunchie she'd knitted herself. "Never stop," she said, gently tugging her daughter's hair. "Don't give up something you love just because there's an obstacle. Find a way to work around it. Be open to something unexpected. Make changes." "Like what?" "Like if you run out of sugar," she said. "Use honey." "I did that last week." "I know," said Georgia. "I was proud of you. We Walker girls are creative. We knit, you bake. But above all, we never, ever give in." Dakota surveyed the room. The kitchen was almost a relic, one of the few places in the apartment undamaged by last year's flooding, the bathroom down the hall being the source of the water that ruined the yarn shop in its previous incarnation, but reminded all of them, and especially Dakota, of the importance of a mother's legacy. The store reopened soon after with a clean and simple style, with basic shelves for the merchandise, though she and Perry planned a massive remodel to begin in the not-too-distant future. That was all they'd talked about for months. The idea was to devote the shop space to a boutique for Perry's couture knitted and felted Perry pocketbook handbags, and to adapt the first floor from a deli to a knitting cafe. Dakota's father, James Foster, was in charge of the new architecture, but due to frequent changes from his difficult clients, hadn't finalized the drawings. It was a grand plan, a vision that required Dakota to hurry up and graduate from culinary school. Perry had been keeping everything under control for a long while, and the strain was